Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Some people play their favorite video games or catalog the worst video games. Some people catalog every video game from a certain console or a certain computer. Now, for the very first time, here's where you can get a catalog of every single video game. Welcome everyone to June 1982. We last played Donkey Kong for the Nintendo Game & Watch, and man oh man, it is another title that I just want to keep playing. It's excellent. Let's press forward and see our next game. It's time to go to the Emerson Arcadia 2001 and play Galaxian. And everyone's thinking, is this it? The first official release of Galaxian? Well, not quite. We've seen quite a bit of games since the arcade version of Galaxian came out that were either variants or close to it or were named that, but they weren't official. And sad to say, this is another title that is not the official Galaxian, even though it says Galaxian. They did it without permission. Let's take a look at the box for Galaxian for the Arcadia 2001, and they just pretty much take the artwork right off of the advertisement flyer and slap it on the box. At least this example is. And there's an example of what the cartridge would look like, but sadly, even though we have all this great artwork for Galaxian, and it's not the real official Galaxian, this is sadly a knockoff, and this is going to be replaced. This title that we have, we couldn't find the cartridge for, so we're not able to play Galaxian on the Arcadia 2001. But fear not, we have Galaxian, but not the name Galaxian. Let's press forward to our next title, and it is Space Attack. That's right, they had to rename Galaxian to Space Attack. This is essentially the exact same game, but it's just not called Galaxian. So we can play Space Attack, so are we playing Galaxian or not? But one thing's for sure, we still haven't seen an official Galaxian that you can play on a home console, at least not yet. Yes, I love the artwork, right? It looks really good. And then you get to this one, you're like, oh, it doesn't look anything like Galaxian. Let's take a look at the box for Space Attack, which is so generic. I feel like we've already seen this title before. Here's a scan for the front of Space Attack. Now, that's an excellent ripoff. We have a Snowspeeder and the Millennium Falcon with, I'm guessing, Star Wars-esque, every single plane I've seen on here. But the artwork is very similar to everything else on the Arcadia 2001. It looks like marker work or possibly watercolor. Yes, everything looks really familiar. Yeah, I like the original scan. And then we have a reconstructed back of the box. It is not the real one, so I won't read that one out. But then we also have an example of the cartridge that you play. Wow. I can't imagine if they got the ripoff from Galaxian and they had to pull that off and put Space Attack in, then they changed the artwork and they rip off Star Wars. Man, what a great time to be alive with video games. There is the lawyers are right now just begging to sue all these games. But it hasn't happened yet, at least not the full brunt of the suing. Let's take a look at the manual for Space Attack on the Arcadia 2000. Wait a second, that doesn't say Arcadia. This is the manual for the Tunics, and the Tunics was the Arcadia in New Zealand. All I know is I can understand English, and they speak English in New Zealand, so we're going to be able to read and understand Space Attack. Oh, there you go, they got the same artwork too. This is another photocopy, but if you had the original, it'd be in color as well. Yeah, maybe they did that an homage to coloring books for the front of the box. Yes. Oh, yes, that's right. The favorite NES. The Famicom comes out next year. I just saw... Oh, I am so excited. I'm actually planning 1983 now and going through everything that we're going to be seeing in 1983, and I'm so excited for the Famicom. Oh, yes. All right, let's see how we play Space Attack. Read the owner's manual. Yes, yes, yes. Always push power on. Got it. What the game is all about. The purpose of the game is to score as many points as possible. Haven't heard that one before. Points are gained by shooting down the invading enemy spaceships with your missiles. Yes. Yes, we know. Push the select button to either play mode. This means you can play to obtain the highest score, or demonstration mode. What? The only two options they have in the game is demonstration or track mode and then play mode? I mean... We've seen, since consoles have been popularized by Atari, there's been game variations and tons of switches that you can switch out, and this only has two? This is just terrible. Just terrible. So how do you play the game? Use the right-hand controller only. Now, everything else we played on the Emerson Arcadia used the left-hand controller, so this is switching it up again. Kind of an homage to the other consoles where you weren't sure which controller am I going to be using, the left or the right. So after you push start, incoming rockets and enemy spaceships, move the missile launcher to the left or right using the disc or joystick control. The Arcadia 2001 uses a disc just like the Intellivision. Fire your missiles at the enemy spaceships by pressing the fire button on the side of the controller or the keyboard. Button number 2. No, they're talking about the keypad. No, use the fire on the side. When your missiles shoot down all the enemy spaceships or collision wipes out your missile launcher, another one will automatically appear. You start with 3 missile launchers or 3 lives. The game ends when all your missile launchers are destroyed. When your missiles have shot down all the enemy spaceships, a new squadron appears for you to shoot at, and you just keep on shooting, and that's it, right? Yeah, we got the score summary because you got to know what all the points are, and then we have an example of what the screenshot is, and final score, highest score. Oh, okay, they do have a score that is temporarily displayed on the screen, so that's kind of nice. All right, so let's pop in Space Attack and play by UA Limited or Emerson Radio Corporation. It's June 6th, 1982. And for this, I got to have 2 controllers in. And the other thing we've seen with the Arcadia is if you wanted to pause the game, you use the other controller to pause. You push the numpad to pause. All right, so let's push start. And now I have to switch controllers to the other one and play. And we're in. Look at that. We're already dead. It is Galaxian, and for a home console, it's alright. It's got a slight starfield in the background, there is no scrolling, but you can tell that it isn't official Galaxian. Like, this wasn't done or endorsed by Namco, and poor Namco. All the games they keep putting out, people are just ripping them off, and they're not getting the credit they need. And also, am I getting some hit detection? Because I'm going for a shot, and it feels like it just goes through. Oh, I see what it is. Whenever you shoot them and they fired off, no, sometimes it's not connecting with the enemy. Let's see if we can get, yeah, it shoots into the bullet, possibly, but it's not even connecting to the same one. All right, so let's go again. Going. Oh my gosh, you got to go on the console and push start again. I see. And if we wanted to, we could do the other mode, which is the demonstration mode. Now, even though this is meant to be an homage to Galaxian, which is a more advanced shooter, I would still find Space Invaders for the Atari VCS more compelling than this. Because all the game modes, different ways you can play and change it up, this one, it just doesn't do it. I'm not going to say it's a bad title, though, for the time. If you had the Arcadia, I'm sorry you did. If your parents picked this one over all the other consoles they could pick, but if you did, you'd still get some enjoyment out of this one. Oh, energy's going down. Am I supposed to blow these guys up faster than usual? You gotta go quick, I guess. That's true. Oh, the rip-off of the theme. Well, at this point, I'll take any music or ditty for a video game, whether it's ripped off or not. And I love how much we can get away with, or at least playing. And there it is. We cleared the whole screen, and it just goes right on to the next one, racking up the scores. This also confuses me, too. On the Arcadia, these games are one player, even though there's 2 slots. But if you look at the top of the screen, there is 2 sections for scoring. And it's like they wanted to first program it for 2 players and then just backed out. They said the manual, the other side's supposed to be for the high score, whoever had the last one. Yeah, I would say that Space Invaders is still more fun because of the variety it has on other systems. Or you have to think of also the console space. We played tons of computer games, but for the console world, this is still around the average range, not doing anything to push over the top. All right, so there you go, a quick taste of Space Attack on the Arcadia 2001. Of all the games you could play on a console, I'm still going to say about average. It's not a bad title. It's not doing anything to push anything higher or lower. Right there in the center, 3 stars. Is the one on the upper right? Yeah, the previous high score they were displaying on the top right of the screen, and then your current score is on the left, which is baffling. I think it should have made for 2 players, or at least added more game modes. Now I understand why. Another thing, too, is there's so many consoles that I've heard about that don't last very long. Now that we played everything on the channel, I understand why this is the case. This console, because of the titles that was available and how they were programmed, they don't have as much polish. They don't feel like they have a lot of work that were put into them, just getting the software out and expecting people to buy the console. This is another example of that. The primo ones that are up there are, of course, Atari VCS, the Intellivision, and the Odyssey 2. I'd say those they're not neck and neck. Atari, I still would give the notch above just slightly, but they don't do. The Arcadia is not doing what they did. All right, so after Space Attack or Galaxian, whichever one you want to call it. So I'll do the same thing for Galaxian. If we ever get a chance to play or get a copy of this one, it's a pretty rare one apparently because I couldn't find it anywhere, but we'll still give it 3 stars. Whether it's Galaxian or Space Attack, let's see what's next. After this commercial break.
Is happening out there. Something that's expanding your world. Small computers are happening. Affordable small computers for your home. Computers that don't just entertain, but challenge. That don't just teach, but make your children want to learn. To meet the small
Makes
computer
them want
that
to
meets
learn?
your needs.
No, it does not.
People at Computerland.
At Computerland, we know small computers. Let us introduce you.
That's how I need to start the show. Let me introduce you, because we go through, of course, lots of video games and console games, but then we have tons and tons of computer games. They are the ones really more saturating the show than the other consoles and handhelds. All right, so this is Computer Gaming World, the magazine for Volume 2, Number 3. It is the May-June issue. Let's take a look at Computer World and see what's happening in the world of computers. If you were a computer gamer at this time, this is the magazine you'd be reading. This is what you'd be into, what you want to see for as far as content. What's it like to be a computer gamer in the 80s? So here you go. And I just saw the chat. Yes, the second remote, yes, was for your annoying sibling, and that console was for your annoying sibling to pause. Oh, man. Oh, yes, thank you for bringing that up. We will be checking out Bubbles in 1983. All right, so here you go. This is the May-June issue of 1982. Could this cover be any more 80s? And this is around the time Tron is introduced. I believe it's June 1982 when it comes out. And this one, man, yeah, it reminds me of that. All right, let's flip this sucker open. Take a look at the first ad on the left. This is for baseball. And if you are a computer gamer, you're probably into strategy, tactical, or war games, because a lot of the games that you can't get anywhere else on consoles, you're going to be able to do on your home computer. And this is no different. This one is more of a stats baseball game. Oh, yeah, very war games, definitely. And we're going to breeze by this table of contents over here because we're pretty much going to go through most of the magazine. But look what it has. We got some good stuff in this issue. Let's see what's next. All right, next section is letters, and I'd be hard-pressed to say, is any of this real letters? Did anyone really write into Computer Gaming World and they posted it? Or is this fabricated to make topics that they want to talk about? You can see also we have a letter from the editor. This is them talking about like stipulations in the magazine, things they've changed, what's been updated, because every now and then when they have new games and reviews, they change the way they do those reviews. And they're also bringing up like an issue with when they talk about a certain game, if it conflicts with the sales of another game, how do they deal with that? But I mean, we want to hear the truth. So obviously it's a free market. You want to hear the different opinions of a certain game, even if it's going to hurt the sales of another one. And the big one they're talking about is cartels and cutthroats, which is one we've seen before. And then we got some letters to the editor. Lots of different fun things. I'm greatly enjoying CGW, Classic Gaming, Computer Gaming World. However, I hope you will please avoid giving away answers to challenges, as was done in the Malloy review of Ultima. For example, they said things like, will there always be caught in the city, can be found on the 3rd floor of a dungeon, and can be only reached by boat or air. This spoils the reader's fun of discovering these facts for him or herself. Any clues spoil the fun. At this point, there are games so cryptic, I wouldn't know why you would think something would be spoiling the fun. And then they let them know it's not that big a deal. And they break down the cover, a few of the magazines, which is kind of nice. So good stuff there. Let's go to the next page. Next is really what I want to get into. This is what's coming up, or what they say. This is the May-June issue, so we're a little back, because you would have been able to get this back in April, like the end of April, before this was released. But you can see what's coming up soon. We have Dueling Digits and Labyrinth for the Apple II, which we've seen both of those. This one is not the Labyrinth you think with David Bowie. That doesn't even come out yet. And then we also have Apple Panic. And then we also have Dale Archibald, recently signed a contract to write newly computer software and hard review column. You may see it in the local newspaper. Big deal. We also have Guadalcanal Campaign, which we haven't seen yet. Another strategy game by SSI. The first monster war game is what they're calling that one. So we'll see that one soon. Then we also have Road to Gettysburg. Haven't seen that one yet. That's another big one by SSI. Napoleon's Campaign, we've seen that one. And next is the Computer Baseball. We have seen that one. I'm not a big fan of the computer tactical, like, management games, But even so, we're playing everything. No genre is safe here on the channel. As far as computer baseball, how big was this? Because it's based on like Avalon Hill and board games, and a lot of these that are translated from board games to computer games, people are still into and enjoy at the time. One of the things we'll see in this magazine is people sending in their teams to compete against each other, which is kind of cool. Yes, Archibald. I don't know anybody by that name. And then we also have the Ricochet Bounce Off National Championship Tournament. If you're not familiar with Ricochet, it's a slightly... the best way to describe it is like Pong, but tactical, where you have one on either side with paddles, but the paddles don't move until you have a turn-based, like switching up the paddles. Kind of difficult to describe, but you can always look down below on all the games we've ever played and check out the link for Ricochet. But they're doing a championship. I didn't think the game was that good. Even to muster up a championship is surprising. Then we also have Automated Simulation's new golf game 4 is going to be available in early May, and we've already seen it. 4 is already out there. SSI is going to release Simtron Masters. Now, this is one I'd love to know where it is. This is one of the magazines that we are reading on the show, and obviously there's tons of magazines that are out there that we do not showcase, but there's games that are in magazines. I have no idea where they are. Here's an example. Someone find or get some information on Simtron Masters by SSI. I mean, it's by Strategic Simulations Incorporated. It has to be popular, but no, I can't find any information on this, if this game even exists. Looks like it costs $40, and it's in early June, but nope, I have no idea where this is. Avalon Hill has other titles like Draw Poker. Don't really care about that one. Bomber Attack, Tank Arcade. We've seen Bomber Attack, Tank Arcade, the Road Racer game, Bowler, and Shootout at OK Galaxy. We're going to see the Road Racer and the Shootout one coming out soon. And then, obviously, Computer Baseball Strategy as well. And then down here we have another game, Microwave, which you've also seen. And then Snack Attack, County Fair, Thief. All these are the Berserk-style games. We've seen all those. Those are pretty cool. And then we have Taxman, which is a very bizarre game. It's whenever we played an episode that happened to have lots of tax games at the same time. No way! I did not know that, Manly. I understand why he changed his name. And we also have Color Space Traders and Color Space Invaders. Both of these we saw back in 1981 by Spectral Associates, and it looks like they're the same for the Color Computer too. All right, and over on this page, we have more for the Coco, Madison the Minotaur, and Ghost Gobbler. We've seen all this and more. We are computer gamers with other gamers here on the channel. Then we also have computer stocks and bonds. I wouldn't recommend it. Guns of Fort Defiance is interesting because it's a strategy game. I think that's Avalon Hill. And Avalon Hill doing a slight action game is a little weird. And then we have Road to Gettysburg coming up. Pursuit of Graf Spee. Nida, oh, there's a big one. That's the big one. Nida Diamonds. Now, notice they don't say Wizardry. The second scenario, oh, there it is. Popular Wizardry role-playing simulation. Yeah, that one everyone's waiting for. Wizardry is so big right now. Then we also have a few games that we haven't seen on the channel. This is by Highland Computers. We've seen Uldor's Revenge, we've seen Tarturian, and we've seen Creature Adventure, but we haven't seen Goblins or Mummy Revenge. So I don't know for sure where those games are, if they exist. And then Hockey here by Gamma Software, we have seen that. That's a 4-player hockey game, not bad. Good for the time. Over here on the left, we have Starship Commander, and then Master Type, don't care about that. And then there's some desks for those, get yourself a computer desk in the 80s. Let's flip to the next page. Here it is, another massive article about wizardry, and why not? Every magazine that we've showcased on the channel has talked about wizardry, and here they are. This is by Mark Malloy. Yes, it is not energy. Did they do energy drinks back then? Maybe it was just coffee to stay up, because I know they did. You were playing war games. Have you seen how long you can play some of these war games? Months at a time, or a non-stop weekend. Now, interesting that they call the wizardry a graphic adventure. Look where it says type. It's obviously a role-playing game. Strange that they put that. But they credit the author here. Says it's $50 for wizardry. And they start with the Old English, hear ye, hear ye. Oh man, everyone was all over the role-playing at the time, and wizardry is no exception. This talks about the world of wizardry. How do you map your maze? Entering the maze. Oh man. Had a blast with it. Kind of hard to showcase here on Chronologically Gaming, but wizardry is one of the best games you could play at the time. Maybe it was cocaine, right? Oh, that's true. When did Mountain Dew get released? Was that 72 when Mountain Dew first came out? So maybe it was that. And then they break down the graphics. And then, as usual, Computer Gaming World doesn't give a review score like in stars or numbers. It just has the conclusion. Wizardry is complex, but even its complexity is an extremely playable game. In conclusion, they'd rate Wizardry as one of the all-time classic computer games. It sets the standard by which all fantasy role-playing games should be compared. In the years to come, if there ever is a gaming Hall of Fame, Wizardry receives my vote as the first entry into its hallowed halls, and I agree. Very well put, especially for 1982. Oh, that's true. All the candy. Maybe it was that. All right, so we got an ad over here for App Venture to Atlantis. I really enjoy this one. This game is taking the graphic adventure or the text adventure and changing a few things up and adding some quality of life to it. So recommend that one as well for 1982. And over here we have Eastern Front. Now, this is pretty cool. This game I'm seeing talked about lots and lots. We played the very first iteration of it. This is by Chris Crawford, and this is one of the best, easiest to get into tactical games because of the interface. The way that it moves the cursor around easily, you don't have to type in coordinates or use a hex grid or anything like that. Oh, that's true. Wizardry 2 with the grinding. Now, when we played it on here on the channel, I wasn't playing and leveling up a character very far. I was just giving you a gist of how the game played, if it was 1982. But that's a good point. When we get to Wizardry 2, we need a character to load because we're going to die even more than a Calibeth. Oh, yeah. Jolt Cola. No. That's, what, triple the caffeine? So here we go. This is the latest war game by Chris Crawford. It's not necessarily what the mechanics of how the tactical game works, because it plays like most war games, but it's the interface. This is what sets it apart. I would say this is one of the best war games you could play at the time. So fun. Eastern Front 1941. And they even break down, yeah, this one uses a square grid when you play, not a hex grid. It makes it easier to move around on the interface. And then they say for 1941, the next step is to try it yourself. What you've learned here is to enable you to get a respectable score. Further experience will teach you about timing, terrain, supplines, and probably overextending yourself. I hope that from now on, as your skill grows, you'll see a corresponding increase in your scores. Well, thanks. No way, a Castle Wolfenstein contest. What's that? We printed a map of Castle Wolfenstein with certain possible errors and offered a year of subscription to the first 3 readers who could verify if there were inaccuracies in the map and show any corrections. 5 sent the responses in, and so we could not separate them due to irregularity. We congratulate the following 5 persons who will receive a free 1-year subscription to Computer Gaming World, or 1-year extension if they're already subscribers. Okay, so it was a contest to see the errors in the map. Have you played Castle Wolfenstein so much that you understand the map and know what's wrong about it? All right, so over here we got another ad by SSI for Battle of Shiloh and Battle of the Bulge Tigers in the Snow. 2 of them that we've seen on the channel. Very heavy war game. Get your war game hat on before you play that one. All right, let's flip to the next one. This one's cool. This is an interview with Roberta Williams about Time Zone. The question I would ask Roberta Williams is, $100? What the hell is wrong with you? Someone look it up again. What is $100 for a video game now? If you bought it in 1982 for inflation, what would it be? Is it like close to $400 for one video game? I don't think there's any video game, not even classic compilations or collector's editions, that are around that cost. So here you go, Time Zone, the long-awaited multi-disc adventure. I believe it was on 6 discs. Computer Gaming World interviews Roberta Williams, and they get to ask her some pretty cool questions like how long this took to make, and oh yeah, I don't remember this drawing anywhere else for Time Zone. Whenever we saw the artwork or played it here on the channel, we didn't have this one. So they say that Time Zone was over a year in the making in addition to 6 months writing the game. And so Roberta Williams says, actually, those who are involved in the project worked 8 hours a day. Some 10 did not work on the project full time. Like Ken Williams wrote the original interpreter, which is why his name appears on the list. He never actually did any of the work, though. That part was done by Jeff Stevenson, who was the original interpreter that Ken written and reworked it to fit Time Zone. There were a lot of modifications that had to be done based on your question. I worked 6 months by myself, although it wasn't 8 hours a week, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Oh, wow. I don't think they did selling well. How many actual copies of Time Zone did they sell for $100? It probably didn't sell as many. And probably the reason why they didn't go making these very lengthy 6-disc or even larger games. All right, so they want to know what kind of profit you make from time zone. So they're asking the question. They didn't ask specifically the... Yeah, they said the final form, which is equivalent to 12 discs, but they didn't bring up the price. They're saying just how much they make. But this is cool. Roberto Williams says, we normally pay 25 to 30% royalties for a game design. Time Zone is all in-house and will receive no royalties. Remember, Time Zone couldn't have been done by one person. It couldn't have been done by 2 or 3 without several years' work. While I wrote the game, other people programmed it and did the graphics. Sometimes I feel that people didn't think I'm as much part of the creative process as I claim due to the fact that I don't program. Uh-oh. The designing of the game and the most important, the creative part of the project, and also the most fun. Yes, it is. So the rulebook mentions restructuring and accomplishing. What's the difference between that respect? And then they talk about, they talk about the historical context because it's time zone. You're going to different periods in the game. Oh man, yeah, I'm with you. Sierra is my favorite adventure game company. I've been really excited and fortunate to play everything by Sierra so far. Oh gosh, Diamond Raw. Oh yeah, we're gonna see those later. Oh, I'm so excited for that era. Whenever we get the LucasArts like competing with the Sierra Online, it's gonna be great. All right, so they talk about the errors, like they made a mistake in time zone, and Roberto Williams says it's more of a geographical or zoological than historical. I put a ray bird in Australia when it actually belongs in South America. The mistake occurred to me a trip I made to Los Angeles Zoo. The animals displayed came from... Oh, okay, so they made a mistake about a bird. Yeah, well, you know when you play Time Zone, you're not going to go for historical accuracy anyway. You're playing to just have a fun game, not something educational. And they also say the rulebook mentions in May you'll be able to offer hints on Time Zone. What? So at this point, we're now in June 1982. Maybe they did offer hints. Because they have to have a hint book by now, right? Oh, yes. Playing it was a very long game. Whenever I went back and played a little bit longer, I only still was in the prehistoric era. I didn't get to the next one. But I can't imagine. They said that the average play time is like 50 to 60 hours to finish Time Zone. It's ridiculous. But really cool, great interview with Roberto Williams here in Computer Gaming World. And we flip the page to our next side. This is for Voyager 1, another game we've checked out. They call this a 3D maze game in the magazine. And William Volk did this one. It's much cheaper than the other games they've talked about so far. I kind of enjoyed this one. It was a little tricky to get into because you needed to know keyboard commands to move around the maze. Oh yes, Live a Live. Oh man. Oh, that's an excellent one. And then over here we have the Space Gamer being up to date with the reviews of the newest computer games. You need to sign up for the Space Gamer. So not just, it's an advertisement for another game called the Space Gamer. Not familiar with that magazine, but they got some cool pictures there. And then over here, looks like, oh, do we not get the end of this? Oh, okay, the Voyager 1's continued on page 38. I see. Okay, so we'll finish whatever they say about Voyager 1 later. Someone able to translate Time Twist. Oh, yes. I really enjoy all the fan translations. I just recently found a cache of tons of fan translations for all the Japanese home computers we'll be seeing. Not every game is translated, but it's going to help out immensely when we play everything in Japan. Okay, over here is the Atari Arcade. Recently we got Asteroids and Missile Command for the exciting event. And then now we have this, by the way, is not actual arcade. These are arcade games for the computer because we're in a computer magazine. We have Protector, Mike Potter's Protector, which is pretty cool. Eastern Front, and then Caverns of Mars. I'd say Caverns of Mars is another incredible game for the home computer. And then we have Chaos, which if you haven't seen that one, it's a little bizarre. Chaos is like a slight platformer. So yeah, arcade style game, but not like Donkey Kong platformer. And then this one, I'm glad they gave a shout out to Action Quest. If you get a chance to check the links down below for all the games we've ever played, look at Action Quest. It's just a poor title though. Action Quest is so boring and generic, and it even makes you think you're going to play a text adventure game, but it's not. Action Quest is really, really, really good. And then we over here have the Softside magazine. Man, Computer Gaming World is giving props to the other magazines. Softside is where we have seen lots of games that are typed in when we showcase any typed in games. So cool. We haven't really read a Softside, but we play a lot of games from Softside. All right, let's flip the page, and this is kind of cool. This has a lot of little hidden things here. So this is the West Coast Computer Fair. And every one of these pictures, I'll point out the number I'm talking about because there's some cool pictures they took of the time back then. So if we scroll down, check out number 6. Number 6 on the left side, there's Richard Garriott. That's right, Lord British himself. And then next to him is Ken Williams on Sierra Online. And then if we go to, oh, look at number 8. Number 8 is Scott Adams. There he is in his afro. He looks like the actual embodiment of what his picture is on his current graphic adventure games that he's remade. Too crazy. And then over here on the other side, we have, there you go, check out number 10. There's Chris Crawford at the time. And I don't know what's on his computer. I'd hope it'd be Eastern Front 1941. But the other one is like number 14 is the booth for Adventure International. Yeah, I know, right? It's so cool seeing these pictures. And just imagine, look at that. Look at the Adventure International booth, number 17. They made an entire like faux castle. Very impressive. Would love to go to that one. If only we could go back in time. All right, let's move over to the next one. Next article is about long distance gaming using the Source or CompuServe. I'm more familiar with CompuServe than the Source. Yes, he will always be the Bob Ross of computer gaming. Did you start that one, Chiptune or Victor? Because I think you were the first one that said it on the channel. I'm blown away. But this is kind of cool about the playing online. They show or tell you about some of the games you can play. Not the best showing because at this point, most of the games you're going to be playing are text only, no graphics, and they take a while to boot up. Like we have the Classic Adventure by Cruther and Woods, Blackjack, Civil War simulation game. We have Mastermind, Star Trek, Backgammon, Lunar Lander. So we're not really missing much to plug in, but you can also play Hammurabi, which is an old school Sumer-like variant. All right, and then we have the oh yeah. So I went through this list to see if there's something we hadn't played yet or seen yet. And there's only 1 or 2 that were mainframe computers because we don't play those here on the channel. But other than that, we're not missing too much. But just cool that it's happening now in 1982. And then over here is now your computer can make personal-to-personal phone calls. That's right, on your home computer. So cool. Let's flip to the next page. All right, next is about getting in the mindset of going from a board game to a computer game, or what's happening in your head when you're playing those board games. Oh, Mega Wars, yes. Great shout out, Curtis, on the CompuServe. Very nice. He does look like that. All right, so this article is breaking down the hex grid because when you played war games, Risk type games, or anything on a tabletop, large scale, let's play all weekend kind of game, the same applies to the video game world or computer world. So they're kind of telling you what's the best way or technique. And we still have this now. I currently play Civ 6, Civilization 6, and so this whole hex style play, they're telling you the best strategy for these kinds of games back here in 1982. Brilliant. Let's flip on. Okay, so this is another game that I wasn't going to play on the channel at all. Jabber Talkie. This is slightly educational or slightly puzzle. It's how do they describe it? They call it a programmable word game here. And it's available on the Apple II and TRS-80, but I didn't get them on either one of those platforms. We are going to see this on MS-DOS at some point, so we will be able to have a taste of what Jabber Talkie is, and then we'll see that in the future. Sometime. All right, is this still about Jabber Talkie? It is. Gosh, they have a giant article about it. And then over here's our Fascination Software, and then we have... They do this every time. They know that there's a lot of people that read Computer Gaming World are going to be looking for dungeon masters or looking to play some role-playing games. So they actually have an ad to play D&D. What do you know? Let's flip on. And here it is. This is the tournament results of playing a managerial baseball simulator based on a board game turned into a computer game. And all you do is you put in the stats for your team, and then you send that in to Computer Gaming World, and then they play the games against each other. Now, this is more reminiscent of a teletype game that was available, where you would insert all the stats of all the different players, and then it would play the game out, but the answers were sent out on the teletype. So you have to read off the answers like, okay, so-and-so ran to first, okay, and then he got out, and then he got a strike, and so forth. And there it is. Ooh. Congratulations, Dodgers and Yankees. Looks like they are the victory, at least here in the magazine. All right, next is pretty cool. This is the article for Olympic Decathlon. We've seen two different variations of this. We saw the first one that didn't have the Microsoft label on the front, and then we saw the official one on MS-DOS that had Microsoft on the front. So it's either Olympic Decathlon or Microsoft Olympic Decathlon. This one is a game first of its kind. This has the mini game style of, we've seen plenty of games, track and field that's going to come out later, Hyper Olympic and so forth. This is the very first game to ever do that. And so check out what they say about this game back in 1982. It's one of, there it is, Olympic Decathlon, one of the truly classic computer games. Get it not only for the fun of it, but because it's an important contribution to the computer gaming hobby. Very well said. And we flip on to our next one with The Eagle is Landed, which is Lunar Lander. So it's just playing Lunar Lander, which is kind of fun. We've already seen Lunar Lander about 10 times here on the channel, and it won't be the last. I have no real complaints for this. This is by Adventure International. They have a winning program here, just as advertised. It makes me a bit envious to look at some of the early efforts of creating a Lasso TM slip program. Not familiar with that. Complex, challenging. Yeah, if someone wants to explain that to me, I'm not familiar with a Lasso TMW SIILP program. Whatever that might mean. Let's flip on. Another review for Swashbuckler. Very cool sword fighting game. It takes place from a side view perspective. Kind of reminds me of a little of Karateka whenever we see that one way later in the future. Very fun. Paul Stevenson is the one that did that one. And they say for Swashbuckler, players of computer gaming world find the graphics to be superb, and I agree. The design's somewhat unique. However, for another, they bring out Dragon's Eye. Okay, so they reference another game. If you do want to check the links of us playing Dragon's Eye here on the channel, I did terrible. It was whenever I didn't look up how to play the game, I wasn't familiar with how it works. It is a very difficult game to get into. And for the two versions we played Dragon's Eye, the game didn't allow, or it was very difficult to get into the fighting scenes. But whenever you did, you fought from a 2D perspective, and you got to do some sword play. But I say Swashbuckler is better for sure. Yeah, look at this art they're giving. Isn't that great? And for my knowledge, what they gave for Time Zone and all the other games we've seen, this is not anywhere else. It's not found in the box for the game itself. This is all brand new stuff. Nice. All right, let's flip on. Oh, here you go. Last page is the end of... Oh, it's the conclusion of Voyager 1, what they thought. They feel the graphics of Voyager 1 are in good. Game design itself is too simplistic to hold the entrance of the average computer game player for very long. Yikes. Persistence is your thing. You'll find Voyager 1 interesting. But those who enjoy strategies or arcade skills will want to look elsewhere. Yeah, okay. All right. That's a little disheartening. I wouldn't judge them that badly. It wasn't a title I'd say warrants that kind of rating. It's still pretty good for the time. All right, so there you go. That's Computer Gaming World, the May-June issue. Lots of things to look forward to in the world of computing, and it's cool to get a snapshot of what it's like to be a computer gamer at the time. All right, so after that, let's press forward and see what our next game is. It's time to go to the Apple II, and this is Prism. Let's take a look at Prism. This is a title I'm not familiar with. Starting with the box. Oh, it looks epic. A quest for the magic keys. Join in exploring an alternate universe, a puzzle where fantasy becomes reality and wealth awaits the clever. Prism. Very nice. I don't see any... Wait a second. It says in the bottom left, a story disc. What is a story disc? In your hand lies the secrets of the Prism, an ISM story disc. All right, so truth be told, a story disc means this is more close to a choose-your-own-adventure than any other game we've played here on the channel. We follow adventurers. We have a story to unveil. There's lots and lots of reading, but sadly, there is no text parser to this. It is a true choose-your-own-adventure. It does look like a cover to a fantasy paperback, right? Yeah, it truly is. There's lots and lots of reading in this one. Here's the ad you would have seen at the time. Who wish to be informed of the mystery, the solved, and keys can fill out this form and return to... Oh, no, this is an ad. This is the form you'd fill out to get the answers to Prism, I think. or to make your way through the game. And there you go. If you flip open the inside cover, this is what you'd see. It's a story disc which tells the wondrous tale of the theft of 3 ancient keys of color and the adventures of a young boy who seeks the monstrous kingdom of Yulsva, Plane of Darkness. All is chaos. Of course it is. The reward for the intrepid treasure seeker is the possession of the keys themselves. So you got to find those keys. And we have the blue, red, and yellow key. It just makes me want to play Doom. Get the blue, red, and yellow key and open the doors. We don't know what Doom is. Insert Prism story disc into drive 1 and make sure the sticker on the diskette is facing up. And then you push PR number 6 followed by the return key and the story will start. To advance the page, you hit the forward key and back key and that's all it explains for controls. That's it. That's all it has. There's the 5 1/4 floppy disk to play some Prism. But are we really going to be playing Prism? Here's a little zoom in of what the manual would be like, or like the inside sleeve. The marketing is top-notch. This looks great. It looks like a fun role-playing game or adventure game. But sadly, it is not. I hope not. All right, we also have, this is 2 different sides of the disc. Let's pop in Prism. On our Apple II, it is June 12th, 1982. Prism is going to be a very quick affair because there is no walkthroughs found online. Go ahead, look up Prism right now on the Apple II. You will find nothing because this is just a straight choose your own adventure. There's not much gameplay that will happen. But look at this. Look how it starts. The presentation's so good. You go in the game and it's a lot of text. And usually I'm reading out the text of the game. But this one is massive. And you can see it says page, well, there. It says page 1 down there in the bottom right corner. And as you progress, you are reading and you're sitting in front of your screen. I will give it this, though. Look at the font of all the games we played on the Apple II. This one is incorporating a higher level font than anything we've seen thus far. But this isn't that big a deal for gaming. I mean, because applications on the Apple II have already done this style of mode. But we're not going to go any further in the game because all we're going to be doing is reading. It goes, I think, up to 10 pages first, and then you make a decision, and all you have to do is push left or right to make the decision. Very easy stuff. So because of that, would you call Prism a broken video game, or would you call it a bad game? It is a true choose-your-own adventure. So I'm going to take the approach of it is a very bad game. We're going to say 1.5 stars considering all the other games you could play for the time. This has no gameplay. It's essentially just get a book and read a book. All right, so after Prism, let's see what our next game is. Yeah, I love it. That's right. It does seem like a school assignment. Here, I need you to read this video game for the next few hours. All right, so let's see what our next game is. We are still on the Apple II. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
My Apple is my manager.
There are more people in more places.
Look at those apples.
Doing more things with Apple.
Even Santa Claus?
than any other personal computer.
Does that prove
in the
that
world.
it is the ultimate home computer if Santa Claus uses it?
Produktionskontrolle ohne den Apple? Unmöglich.
And of all these people using Apples, most had never touched a computer before.
That kid has no idea how to use the computer.
Apple. The most personal.
Or maybe he knows how to use it better than his parents. And it is true, at this point, Apple II is, or Apple IIe is all over the world by that ad. All right, so this is the new world for the Apple II. Another game almost lost to obscurity. I was able to find an excellent article online that I'll show down below for all the details of how I was able to understand, find, and play this game called New World. When I first checked it out, I thought, oh, this has got to be like a 4X game, like a let's discover a new world, because when you read the manual, that's how it's described, but the game doesn't play out that way. This plays out more like a business or management simulation game. So here we go. New World by Epix. You can see on the front gold sticker, it's for the Apple or the TRS-80. I would not recommend the TRS-80. I did not want to play or show it because it's so broken. It shows a map of what you're supposed to do, and it's just a swash of numbers, and it is just a huge mess. So for all the New World fans out there, we're only going to be playing here on the Apple. Let's flip it over on the back. Yes. It's got that epics feel, though. The classic explanation over on the left. We got color graphics, and for the Apple, 2 to 3 hours playtime. No way. I don't think it'll take that long, but you can play 3 people at once if you want to. And the complexity, they say, is introductory. The other thing that makes this game a little hard to play is the unbalance of making decisions. You expect it to do something correct, but no, it is not balanced. All right, so after the box, let's see what we have for New World. Here we go. Lead an expedition to the New World in a game of conquest and colonization in the year 1495. You represent one of 3 countries and try to achieve supremacy of your opponents by building colonies in North and South America. As England, France, or Spain, you recruit colonists, purchase supplies and soldiers, then transport them across the Atlantic. Storms, pirates, other hazards hamper your journey. Once there, disease, bankruptcy, and warfare threaten your colony's success, and you must mine gold to finance your expansion and pay taxes. Doesn't this sound like you're going to play a let's conquer the world kind of game? But it is not. It's not. It doesn't play that way. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. For titles like this, people would never know about New World. And here is also what you'd also see in the manual, but we're going to be loading up the manual that I could find. And we also have an example of the screenshot. So this manual is a true treat. This is one that they have corrected because the original manual I was told was not correct. It had errors. So here we go. This breaks down all the maps you're going to see, and we'll see this in full color, high res on the Apple II. There's the different territory, natives, moving around gold production, and then any special attributes about it. The game begins in 1495 AD and ends after the last turn is completed in 1600 AD, and it's a turn-based game. It's a menu-driven game, so you just make decisions kind of like a business or managerial style game, which we've seen a few times. Yeah, it has the premise, but it just doesn't execute because of the inaccuracies with how it's programmed when you make decisions. So it breaks down Spain, England, France, and how much doubloons, and how they play, and then every turn begins with collecting taxes, recruitment of colonists, and a political event. You can raise taxes, which will be added to your treasury. You can recruit colonists, and they are recruited in Europe and be sent to the New World in the current turn or will disperse. Then you have random political events, like the current player will occur each turn. The event is determined randomly with a simulated D10 roll. And then we also have the native uprising. Each colony belonging to the current player is checked for the occurrence of a native uprising. If the colony has no colonists or soldiers outnumber the natives by more than 2 to 1, then there will be no uprising. And that's kind of cool. So it's like the disasters that could happen. So whenever it's your turn, you have a lot of decisions, 1 through 8. The game enforces you to take action strictly in this order. Make purchases, launch expedition, transfer personnel, attack natives, transfer ships, load gold, search for gold, return the convoy. And this breaks down every part. Making purchases, launching the expedition, and then losses at sea. Oh man, you're going to have a lot of those. Transfer personnel, attacking the natives. This manual is so helpful. This would be the only way you could play New World nowadays. If you played this in a modern sense, this would be definitely obsolete. Back in 1982, though, no. This would be a fun time because it's something that is still kind of fresh. Obviously taking inspiration from Sumer, which was originally on mainframe computers, and the idea of making decisions, and the better decisions you make, the better your country's going to do. All right, so I'll breeze by the manual. We'll refer back to it if we need to. Let's go to New World and pop in the disc by Epix. This is by D.A. Decker Jr. It's June 15th, 1982. Another classic title by Automated Simulations. No longer lost to time. At least I hope not. How many players do we want? Let's go 3. We're going the full gamut. 3 players, because I don't want to play against the computer. The computer always picks France, and they cheat. And like usual, I'm going to be picking from the last people in chat. Continue a saved game? No. Who's going to be the monarch of Spain? Let's do Shooter. Who's going to be the monarch of France? Thomas. And who's going to be the monarch of England? Manley. So there we go. I got 3 players. The year is 1495. Monarch Shooter of Spain. You've raised 50 doubloons, recruited 2 colonists. You have 200 doubloons in your treasury. Now, if you played or seen other business simulation games that we've played on the channel, this look very, very familiar. It tells you what's happened, and then now you make the decisions you want. You select from here, making purchases, launching expeditions. Let's go for colony status. So we hit C. We want to see North America. We hit in, and here it is, the full high-res map. Wow. And then you do colony number. It breaks it down by different places, and 0 if you just want to continue on. But right now it looks like nobody has claimed anything. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and say, 0, right? Yeah. There we go. So if you want to make purchases, go ahead and push 1. And then if you want to purchase, let's say, some soldiers, push 1. So that it does this in a menu-based system, which is a good way to do it here in 1982. We've seen a few games that were way too ambitious, specifically by SSI, that have the hex-based grid, and you're moving individual units in different places, and you have to assign the number and column of where they need to go, and you have to determine the terrain that they're on, and so forth. There's a lot to think of. It takes a while to get used to. This is a lot easier to just sit down and start playing the game. All right, so at 4 doubloons each, how much do you want? Let's do 2 soldiers. We got our soldiers. Nice. And then we want to quit, push in, and we're back to the main screen. And you have to do the order they say. So notice we didn't pick number 1, we picked number 2, and you just work your way down. And then whenever you're ready for the next player, you push in. I'm not going to make all the decisions, but if you were playing on a Jolt Cola weekend, or you're just down at a bunch of drinks and you and 3 friends are wanting to play, you would spend more time on this. So we got 0 gold for the balloons. Your columns production, 0 doubloons. Oh gosh, they're not doing so good. And then can we do C for colony status? Let's do South America now. And what you do is you amass more colonists. Colonists find more land to claim. You have more land to claim. You can look for more gold. You make more gold, you send more colonists, and rinse and repeat. It's not really that simple, but it's still a simple concept for it. Yes! I wouldn't be surprised if we don't find an Aztec game that's coming up, because of all the games I've seen, every now and then I get surprised and think, wow, this is really a game? We might find that one. Just keep sending more things in the chat, and it might show up. All right, so let's do 0 to continue. And any key to go to the next screen. All right, so Monarch Thomas of France, you've raised 40 doubloons in taxes. You have 4 colonists. Oh, look at that. I think France is cheating. Even when the computer was playing, and I was testing this out for the channel, playing even as a human being, I think France is cheating. All right, so we can also do 7, search for gold. I don't think we'll let us do it. Yeah, we have to have colonists where the gold is. You have to send the colonists to where it is, and then search for gold. All right, so let's go to the next player. And then it gives you the stats of what you did this turn. And we did nothing. The more decisions you make, you end up learning what's the best decision to make and what's not the best one. But it does take a lot of trial and error. All right, so let's push any key to continue, and it should move on to our last player. No, it is not. This is considered obsolete by current standards. By 1982, though, I would still call this subpar, considering all the other games you could play. Monarch Manly of England. What do you want to do? Let's launch an expedition. Where do you want to send? Do you wish to send an expedition to the Americas? Yes, we do. How many colonists, soldiers, and ships will you send? Okay, so let's do 1, 1, 1. You've assigned more than you own. Oh, we have 0. We have no colonists. We have to recruit them first. Okay, so no, we don't want to send anybody because we don't have anybody. And obviously, we can't go back. Once we made the decision, that's the other thing that makes it a little clunky, is once you select one of the options, it doesn't show up again. It's gone. You can't do it again. You can't redo your turn. All right, so let's go ahead and return to the convoy. Which colony do you wish to leave? And it's going to ask question, and so forth and so forth. So there you go. New World. A quick taste of what it's like to play New World. Of all the games you could play at this point on a home computer, I'd still give New World a subpar rating, or around the average rating. It should be bigger than it is, but honestly, because of the bugs and because of the unbalancing, you wouldn't find as much enjoyment as the other computer titles, specifically strategy game titles at the time. So we're going 2.5 stars for New World. There you go. Was it good? It was good enough, I guess, for the time. All right, that's where we got to put our video game playing on pause this evening. It is 1982. We are playing everything. Get ready for the Japanese invasion. We're going to see all the Japanese computers and all the consoles. We're going to see everything that comes out in England, the United Kingdom. Get ready for the Commodore 64. Get ready for the Vectrex. There's so much stuff coming out. In fact, if you think we're only halfway through because we're in June, we have so much more that's going to be happening because the game count blows up as we get closer and closer to Christmas. Obviously. That's it for today, and like I always say, once a computer gamer, always a computer gamer. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are Perpetually Retro, and we will catch you next time.